Is this working? What in the actual... Oh my god. Hello. Hello. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. I just did 15 minutes and no one saw. Which is fantastic. Because I highly doubted that this thing would work in the first place. I highly doubted. For some reason, every time somebody comments, I get a fucking email. 30-second clip, no audio. Yes, perfect. 30-second clip, no audio. Why does it show live on my screen? Why does it show live, ladies and gentlemen? Shows live on my screen. Oh, we got 9 people watching. So, please, someone. Fuck yeah, Elliot. It's working. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I do this. Bam! Switch it up. Is it working? Yeah, in the chat. Please don't comment in the Patreon chat, because then I just get an email. That a baby Ben, you crazy bastard. Yes. Okay, that's this is good because yeah, I don't know why it didn't work the first time. Does that mean now that I have to do let's see, if I switch cameras, now you see Photoshop and you should see me. Now you see it reversed. Now just Photoshop. Bump. Bump. Da 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 dum dum dum. Yes, you can see me. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so if you're watching this and you can see it, comment in the YouTube chat. I don't know how to get there. I just know that somehow Elliot has gotten there and Ben has gotten there. Okay, so I just did 15 minutes to no one. So pardon me if all of this stuff for the Photoshop is already set up. But actually, before we get into that, we should do Ben's question, which I think is a different Ben to the one we've got here. But essentially, yeah, I mean, this is the test run, take 2 of the test run for the live stream. And essentially, I'm going to treat it just like I would a normal podcast. Shouldn't be much different, right? It should just be me talking. But there is this comment section where you guys can fire away comments. So, yeah, I don't know how much I can read of the comments, but they look pretty good, right? They're coming in fucking live, man. Jesus Christ, live stream. Okay. So it'll just be like a normal thing. And you will be able to see all this, hopefully, if this shitbag of a program works. You should be able to see this when you're not viewing it live, right? So it can be question and answer amongst the people that are here, or it can just be you watch it later. So it won't be anything different than the normal podcast shtick if you're a supporter. Okay, well, let's get into it. I'm going to keep this short and sharp because this is just a test run. But we did get a question this week from Ben. I can't remember his last name. But Ben was essentially asking about the float. Remember how we talked about the float in the podcast of sort of doing, it's like a figure 8 when you're on like a loose tripod head or you're on an easy rig or something like that. You do this little figure 8, I call it, but it's not really a figure 8, right? It's just, that's just something in my head that I think of. It's just an opening and a closing when you're moving the camera, and you do it for 2 reasons. You do it, number 1, because it gives the editor a chance and the director a chance later on to have an open and a close to a shot, right? If you're just moving a little bit, it moves into the shot, it moves out of the shot. If you're doing a close-up on somebody's face, you just slightly, ever so slightly move the camera around. And it helps to sort of open and close the shot. Yeah, we are actually making history. I don't know if this has ever been done before, Anamorphic live stream, but we're doing it. Fuck yeah. So you're moving it around, and you do that, well, the second reason is because if you just try and hold it still, a 12-hour day of easy rig day, right? On the first shot, maybe the second shot, you're going to be able to hold it still. But if you then cut to a shot where it's not still, cut to like a little bit of movement or a little bit of, you know, you've been holding the thing for 12 hours and it's going to start to look a little bit like ass, then it just takes you out of the scene. So you either got to be floating the whole time or not floating at all. You know, those are sort of your options. So you don't take people out of it. So it's not really a figure 8. You don't have to get tied down to that idea. And if I think of it when I get off of this, I'll post an ad that actually uses it. But once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Sort of, it's in every handheld ad in the history of man. There's just that little bit of float and a little bit of chance to just give the editor something. Okay. Enough of that. That was the one question. Okay, let's get into it. Let's see exactly what we're doing this week. So this is a music video. It's from Patrick something. And Patrick was nice enough to send stuff in. If you're in here, Patrick, make sure that you put it in the comments so we can see, because I'll have these questions and maybe you can answer them for me. But you'll see I've already got shit over here because I already did this once to nobody. So in this little breakdown thing, we got a music video, right? And it's this woman, she's standing here amongst the haze, and she's singing with a band in the background. So if I'm looking at this, the very first thing that I see, if we add a new layer here, come down and we'll just do a little bit of painting. Why isn't that working? Oh, because I hid the layer. Come down here, add another layer, make this smaller. Okay, the very first thing I see here is it looks like, I mean, the color contrast is cool, right? We talked about contrast in last week's, or earlier this week's Patreon breakdown. Really, the density and the contrast is the hardest thing to get right, and it really does take a long time to master. But here, you got the color contrast, right? Nice, blue and red. That's you're going down the right track. The only thing is, it looks like this red is so saturated that it might be clipping one of the channels, or it's just super, super hot. Whatever it is, it's very, very saturated. So I would probably say not so much on the saturation. If I was looking at this on the day on the monitor, I'd say, man, maybe just take down the saturation a little bit on the red thing to whoever was standing next to the lamp. Once you got that red sorted, I'd say the same thing as earlier this week. This fill here, this just feels like it could be. It just feels like a lot of fill, you know. And what happens then is you sort of lose any interest in the shape of the face because you don't have that contrast. You know, you don't have, you know, this. I get what you're doing, this sort of split 50-50 down the middle. But if you're going to do that, then you really need some contrast to make it punch and to make it stand out. So I would say, again, I'd probably paint up this side of the face and just make it darker, right? And just for people who weren't following before, there's nobody. You come up here, come up to curves, knock it down. I mean, that already looks pretty cool, right? Just that looks kind of nice. But if we're talking about just the face, come up like that, paint the face, right? Just like that. Then you take that, you blur it, like that. And then maybe that's too much, so you take off the opacity a little bit. But something like that, right? So now you're getting a lot more interest, I think. I don't know, maybe you don't think so. So that's that bit. Then the next thing, the hair light is, it's a little bit hot, right? In this original thing. That I'd probably take it down a stop or two, just to try and, well, not a stop or two, probably just a stop, because it looks like it's just blowing out in the top up there. So maybe take that down. Then the background's cool. You got the haze, right? Taking this, if it was just flat black, it would look like ass, right? Because then you would have no three-dimensional quality to the image at all. So it's good that you've got the haze separating her from the background. You've got the little backlight, all good things. So in theory, it's pretty cool. So that's the idea, right? Take down the saturation there. Maybe do it in the grade. If you want to push it, then you can push it way past what the sensor is capable of. And that fill, you know, just that little bit more contrast, or maybe just ever so slightly getting that lamp on the other side, right? Just a little bit. Oh, that was what I was going to say. So you've also got this little, which people like and I always get questions about, these little catch lights in the eyes, right? That's definitely coming from the fill light, and that's probably because it's parked just there. And that's cool. The only thing is, you can get that catch light from not being the fill, right? It's a little trick, and I'll show you. So one of the ways that you can do it is you take a little dado light, right? There's lots of ways you can do this. This is just the way that I think works the easiest, especially if you're working in tungsten. You take a little dado light, just one of the little, whatever it is, the little tiny things, I forget what they're called, DL4s or something, and you put a plastic, like a Dixie cup or something like that, a little tiny plastic cup that you would get at like a kindergarten party, and you put that on top of the dado light. So it becomes like this little tiny orb of light, right? It's no longer just a hard, punchy light. And all you have to do to get that reflection in there is you move it around the camera, right? This is a fairly close shot, right? So it'll still work with a really small source. And you just move it around until you can see the reflection in the eye. As soon as you can see it, you stop it, right? You stop it there. It should be on full level now. And all you do is dim it down until you can't see it anymore. Then take it up a little tiny bit. And the key thing is, for it not to affect the lighting, is you can't have it overpowering whatever the key is, right? If you had this tungsten bulb just up here and it was overpowering what the key was doing, it would look like shit. But if you had it so dim and the key, the ratio so far gone in terms of the key that you wouldn't notice that little jump in exposure because it is literally giving off nothing. It's just reflecting off the eye. Then you've got something. Then you've got a little eye light, can really add to a dim scene. So that's cool. I think it's echoey. I think the sound is echoey because I got my fucking, I got my headphones in here and I can hear them playing. But rather than stop it, I figured I'd just go. So I think that's it. Is it in sync though? If I clap my hands, does that sound like is that the problem? Because that I don't know how to get rid of. Anyway, I'll keep moving until someone answers. Okay, next shot we got the wide, which is again, I won't go over the same sort of issues before about her, because they're sort of the exact same here, just a farther away shot, which means, getting the eye light in a shot like this, probably not gonna happen. But yeah, maybe just take this down. Actually, that looks better in this shot. The one thing that stands out to me here is if we're talking about, separating her from the background and creating layers, even in a black empty void like this, right? Say you want a black empty void over here. That's cool. But if you got these things over here, you're calling attention to them with this light coming up. That's doing something. That's doing the job for sure. But I'd want to get them out of the blackness, right? Because they're already sort of getting out of the blue just through this light back here. They're sort of getting out of it, right? You don't really need this separation as much as this sort of melds into nothingness. So I'd probably either put up just a really dim, really soft source. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just ever so slightly adds to that toe of the image, right? Just ever so slightly getting on it. But again, that's just that little tiny bit there. That would just etch them out and bring them up. And that's it. That's about the same. Hard. Again, hard because you're going colored light into a white piece of fabric, which is making it even hotter. Anytime you've got a fabric that's hotter than the person's skin, it's going to be challenging. So that's what I'd say there. And, maybe this spread of this thing could be bigger. I don't know. Those are just taste things rather than technical stuff. Okay, this is the last shot we'll do before we wrap this thing up, unless there's any questions. So here we are on the band members themselves, and this sort of shot, this is emulating what I just talked about before, which was, it would be nice to have just those little edges in the background, these little highlights here. These are cool, right? What you've done there. Nobody cares. Nobody is interested in what they are. They just add interest and depth to the image, so that's cool. The one thing I would say, though, is it feels like, it feels like I can feel, where is it? This light here. This thing is cool. Whatever light is coming down here, right? There's probably something up here that's hitting this bit. Very cool. And you're getting it all along the fingers. That stuff's all good. But it feels like we could easily go like this. Invert it. Actually, go like that. Invert. Come down here, and we'll just paint out the fill light, right? We don't really need to see any of that. We get he's a band member. We can make it just that little bit moodier. Leave the top highlights. Just take this thing down. Don't need any of that. And we're looking pretty good. Now we blur it. And something that's probably too much. Right in there. Forget that you can see this shitty bit here. And then you go like this. Just to take it down, to make it more about the interesting backlight. You know what I mean? Like, this is cool. This little backlight that's coming down. But the other stuff, that Philly front light, maybe not quite as Rockstar. So, just something to think about. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? Who knows? Okay. You can hear this. You can hear Photoshop? Or it's my sound effects that you're talking about? Yeah, those Photoshop sound effects, those are mine, right? That's not... I also like the name, Shroom Thing. Okay, unless there's any questions. This is the first time that we've ever met before. Unless there's any questions, that's going to do it. But it worked, right? I think. I think the live stream worked. We at least have someone commenting, which is a good thing. So, well, this will be the first time that I say thank you in person for the support of the show. I'm glad you like it. Hopefully you like it. You don't support it because it's shit. And we've got some cool stuff coming up. Did an interview yesterday, which will be the show next week, all about making a first-time feature film, and not like a shitty first-time feature film, but like a proper one, which is good, which with a director that I've worked with before, so that'll be fun. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be rad. Hopefully it doesn't suck. But if you have sent in a project, know that I've looked at it. I'm going to break down as many as I can, and just to keep sending them in, the easiest way to do it is to message me on Patreon. Send me the link. I'll just click on the photos that we want to do, and we'll go through it that way. And if you guys have any questions that you want me to do in this, send them through. What else? Everybody, thank you. Yep. Legend. Oh, lighting setup right now. Okay. This is a good one to start Patreon on. So this one is... I can't really show you, can I? This one is a aperture. A 120D through a gigantic, what is it, like a softbox thing, right? And I'm up here. This is fucking, remember I mentioned that I was moving into a studio? This thing, that I told you the internet completely shit the bed. It didn't actually work. So now I'm stuffed in the attic for the next few weeks, until Christmas, essentially. Unless, unfortunately, I'm hitting the road, but for the next 3 shows, we're here. Fairy lights, right? Fairy lights in the background. Soundproofing boards back here to make it not sound like ass. And then over there, so this thing is some sort of aperture LED as well, which they sent to me. Very nice of them. And that's it, right? That's it. Oh, and there's some little tiny fill, some tungsten little fill lights in the roof that I'm essentially filling to. But this is it. This is the fucking... if someone has seen a live stream with Anamorphic before, please tell me. But this is the 50 mil on the Alexa, which is a complete waste of time and overkill. But the glorious beard. I know I was supposed to actually get a fucking haircut yesterday, but I missed it. Anyway, okay, this will be fun, right? You can talk, I can listen for once, or at least you can type, and we'll take it from there. But I think that's it. We'll wrap it up. How the fuck do you wrap this thing up? That's the question. Okay. We will see you in the next one, actually. And probably, unfortunately, though, now I'm getting confused whether or not I mentioned this in the one that I'm doing now or the previous one. But I'm on the road basically up until Christmas. So live stream will be one next week. I'll do one. And then it'll be off for a few weeks and then back again after Christmas. But I'll still do the video ones because I think we're onto something here with breaking Patreon supporters down. Just so we see different work, right? I'm tired of looking at my own shit and how bad it is. So it's nice to see other people's stuff. So that's going to be the format going ahead, and I'll do video ones while I'm on the road, and hopefully that'll tide us over until the new year when the crazy shit starts. All right, that's going to do it. We will see you in the next one.